Digital. क्या बोल रहा है निमेश? Actually, Nimesh should have. We are live actually.
We are live?
Yes, we are live.
No, so Nimesh and Naren, I spoke to them about a few things, but I mean, that's just largely on the mutual fund industry. Nothing about investing per se. So that's separate completely. But good afternoon.
Yes, it's for a change. It's positive. Actually.
Yeah, and well, actually the global markets also turned a bit supportive overnight.
Yesterday, yeah. It's, the labor markets are holding on, so they're thinking that nothing is happening to the US economy.
Yeah. No, so first thank you for tuning in, like, subscribe. Please do the likes, it really helps us.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about private markets as well, Sajeet.
Yeah, I also wanted to.
You want to?
HDB especially.
And more.
Yes.
And more.
Yeah.
But before we get to private markets, one thing I would urge our team to drop all the 3 interviews, which is Ridham Desai,
Yes.
Citi, and today Bofa's Amish Shah. Yeah, all 3 interactions, if we can drop, we should try and drop. That's largely the complete sell-side view that you would want of people who are talking right now to nearly 700, 800 global investors in the conferences.
Yes.
So therefore it will help, right?
And it gives you a perspective of how foreign flows or foreigners are looking at India and the flows which are coming and where is it going actually. It's a very shallow market in that sense because it's only the block deals which are dominating at this point in time. But yes.
Yeah. So the other very curious aspect is the massive block deals.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the week has 3 or 4 more. I wouldn't be surprised, Sajeet, if we now see a revival of the LG IPO. It was postponed last year.
Because of valuation?
Because of valuation and market conditions, I would reckon that will get revived too. The appetite in the market seems to be back for select paper, quality paper.
For fresh paper actually, let's just put it this way.
LG would be fresh paper, right?
Provided it comes at the right price because the earlier Korean experience has not been good.
But I'm saying the process will get revived.
Yes.
I think the process will get revived.
Because
right?
that's also an OFS, right? It's not a growth capital they're seeking, it's an OFS.
वो तो हर एक MNC. India के मार्ग बेचो.
You have to price it at the point that it gives you a return of 15 to 20% on the table for the investor.
Most certainly.
Then only you're going to get a demand.
Most certainly. Now viewers, usually we talk about markets, blah, blah, etc. Today it's a very important thing that I particularly want to talk about. I'm glad Sajeet wants to talk about as well. And believe us, we didn't speak about it before. I was out, I just came in. But
I was writing something on HDB Financial and that's the reason
Specifically HDB
Financial.
Okay. So. But Okay, then let me start with the slightly bigger piece, and which is trading in the private markets right now.
Yes, it comes with warning first of all.
One, it comes with warning. Even if the paper is fairly liquid, it comes with the warning. But I just think that some of the valuations in the unlisted shares are now crossing.
Have already crossed, I would say.
You've
been very generous. You're very generous
in going to use the term frenzied valuations. Have crossed sane valuations and are crossing the boundaries of being frenzied.
Yes.
It's almost
beyond
as if
frenzy, actually.
Beyond frenzy, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So beyond frenzy, okay. And
no, I can give you an example.
I made notes, by the way, for this. While I was in the car.
So let me start with HDB Financial.
Okay.
Right? 12,500 crores, 10,000 crores going to HDFC Bank in form of OFS. It's an NBFC which has decent growth in terms of books, 20% growth in the books. FY25 actually. Hersh was telling us, he's not here, he's in a meeting, he'll just join us in a short while, but he's telling us that the book value is coming to around 199. So, if you look at the price to book, and in the private market is getting sold at 1200 rupees per share. So, the price to book is 6 times. And even if you take a 20% growth for a 12-month forward, you're talking of 5 times, which is cheaper than the Bajaj Finance, which is there trading. It's cheap. I mean, it's premium to Bajaj Finance, and it's also premium to the parent HDFC Bank. So my warning to all the investors who are buying, saying that अरे IPO आ रहा है, इसका स्टॉक ले लो प्राइवेट मार्केट से, वेट कर लो, क्योंकि अगर आपने 1200 में लिया तो आपको शायद नहीं मिले, आप डिसअपॉइंटेड होंगे क्योंकि लिस्टिंग उससे नीचे शायद होगी.
Yeah. So I'm told that I haven't looked at the valuations per se, but I made a note of this, right?
Of HDB Financial?
No, HDB is one, right?
Yeah.
It's actually probably trading over what its eventual IPO price might be.
Yes, it is high.
It is high, and trading above what the IPO might come in as well.
Exactly.
So वो loss हो सकता है, right?
हाँ.
But I made the note because I spoke to two people in the private markets कि कहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा dealings हो रही है, etc. and stuff like that. NSDL, I'm told.
Yes.
Then Vikram Solar, massive, and people are actually selling some of the
Blue chips to buy that.
blue chips to buy unlisted shares.
Yes.
NSDL valuation, while it is in the private markets, is comparable to CDSL right now. I'm told.
Exactly.
And therefore, you need to be careful, viewers. Any of you who's listening to this right now, or later on, you will hear. If you're trading in the private markets, please be careful of the valuations that you're paying. It's one thing to say, oh, this is such a coveted paper.
It's not just NSDL.
NSDL, NSC, Vikram Solar. मैंने बहुत में सुना.
Yeah.
Great companies, by the way, a lot of these.
Last 1 week, I have heard that a lot, especially in trading shares of NSDL and NSC, a lot of deals have been cancelled because money has been paid and then people have refused to deliver the shares. Because within next 1 day, the price is going up by 100 rupees or 200 rupees and they are refusing to deliver the shares.
So वो तो अलग ही कांड हो गया.
वो कांड मतलब वो कांड कौन कर रहा है? बड़े-बड़े ब्रोकर्स कर रहे हैं. मतलब नाम नहीं लेना चाहता मैं.
बट रिस्पॉन्सिबल ब्रोकर हो तो शायद वो ना करे.
रिस्पॉन्सिबल ब्रोकर ही कर रहे हैं.
अच्छा तो वो भी हो रहा है. चलिए, बट मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ चलो वो अगर ना भी हो रहा हो, वो भी ना भी होना हो और अगर आपको डिलीवरी मिल भी रही हो, just be careful of the valuation that you're paying because a lot
not going to get.
Don't sell your blue chip shares or companies that you believe in to buy frothy private market shares because the eventual listing might happen at a low price. Your investment will get stuck for 3, 6, 12 months at the same price or lower.
Yeah.
So please be careful with that.
See, if it's a profitable company, most likely these shares are coming via ESOP route to the private market. And as per the ESOP valuation, a fair market price has to be determined. And most of the companies now, because of the reason that they have to go to the market and they don't want to put that additional pressure on the P&L once they list, they issue the shares at fair market price. So वो जो ह्यूज डिस्काउंट में जो इशू होता था ईसॉप्स में बहुत कम कंपनीज करती हैं आज के डेट में. मोस्ट ऑफ देम हु आर प्रॉफिटेबल एंड हैव अ पाथ to listing, they are doing it at fair market price. So when you're trading in the stock, it is already at a premium to the fair market price which you're trading there, and you're trading maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever year in advance which is there. No, otherwise you will have to suffer like that adjusted EBITDA of companies which people are talking about कि भाई ESOP को निकाल दो फिर देखो कि EBITDA कैसे. नहीं, it's going through the P&L, you have to follow it. That's a thing which is accounting practice. But point ये है कि आप you have to be very careful at what price you are buying, and it's not just that. Means आपने तो ये 3 बताएं, हीरो FinCorp भी आ रहा है, उसका भी IPO. मतलब आप if you look at the list of companies which have already filed for DRHP, a large chunk of them which has ESOPs or investors, private investors in them, the shares are already trading in the market at a steep premium, anticipating कि भाई ये होगा. बड़े लोग तो निकल जाएंगे उसमें से, बट छोटे लोगों के हाथ में अगर आप एंटिसिपेट कर रहे हो, एंड एज नीरज सेड, people are selling the blue chip in the listed space and buying unlisted company assuming that they have a huge IPO gain, वो नहीं होने वाला.
हाँ, just that. Please be careful. If you think that you want to buy this because you sit with it for 10 years, and you know your valuation, sure, but be careful if that's not the case. So I thought that was important to highlight, Sajeet. Every day हम लोग मार्केट की बात तो करते हैं,
पर ये वार्निंग जरूरी है actually, because otherwise it brings in disappointment in the IPO process and investors who are investing in the IPO. Means वो जो disappointment जो shift होता है ना IPO में, अरे मेरे को इसमें नहीं मिला, वो जो है that creates a negative thing for the entire primary market.
और फिर कई बार क्या है कि वो मर्चेंट बैंकर प्रमोटर को बोल भी नहीं सकेगा कि भाई वैल्यूएशन थोड़ा कम हो रहा है, बॉस प्राइवेट मार्केट में ये वैल्यूएशन पे ट्रेड हो रहा है तो कैसे आईपीओ ना है. But the size of the IPO is so large, it can't happen at necessarily the high valuation. So just be cautious about how you are trading even the marquee shares in the private markets.
Yes.
You got to be careful.
And especially if they are large IPOs like 10,000, 12,000 crores, please understand that at least 50% of that IPO is reserved for retail category and mutual funds, which have a huge say in the way pricing of IPOs are going to happen.
Yeah. Exactly. So just please be careful. So that was one. Okay, Sajeet, what else?
We have RBI policy coming in.
What do you think?
The question they were asking was, is it going to be 25 or 50? मेरे ख्याल से 25 तो गिवन ही है.
25
गिवन ही
25 ही रहेगा.
हाँ 25 तो गिवन है, उसके आगे का मुझे पता नहीं. मतलब ज़्यादा आपको लगता है कि इस साल दो ही होंगे? People are penciling in June and August has to be 25. But उसके बाद 75 एक और आ सकता है 75.
हो सकता है, right? Never know. I mean, I was in the camp of 50, right? And when I've learned from some other people as well, so you speaking about it, and other economists speaking about it, that there is a possibility. One is that because inflation for the next 2 quarters will be very low. So that helps, part one. Part two, today the BOFA guys were saying, I was speaking to Amish Shah of BOFA, he was saying that there is a possibility that the government may be able to do a small fiscal stimulus. Because there is more than the government penciling in. There was a RBI dividend. Crude prices are low and therefore the excise duties have been hiked at the till. All of that coming in, the government wanting to boost consumption.
So that can happen easily through indirect, right? Because GST recalibration of rates is on the cards.
देखो जैसे भी करे, but if there is some
अगर वो हो जाता है, means the point
is, if he's talking about a proper fiscal stimulus,
isn't that a stimulus? आप टैक्स कम कर रहे हो, indirect consumption में सीधा हिट होता है. 18% की जगह 16% कर देते हो आप, या 12% कर देते हो.
But that is a loss to future taxable revenues and therefore that's a stimulus. ये बोल रहे हैं कि direct capital stimulus possibility, a small
consumption
one. में स्टिमुलस होगा तो कंजम्पशन ही होगा.
बट अगर आप
कैपेक्स नहीं करेंगे,
कैपेक्स तो नहीं होगा, कैपेक्स नहीं होगा, कैपेक्स पूरा नहीं कर पा रहे तो फिर करेंगे
कहां? कैपेक्स तो नहीं
करेगा,
तो कंजम्पशन
में यही होगा. दैट्स ओनली वे यू कैन डू इट.
व्हाई?
व्हाट इज अदर वे टू डू इट? गिविंग मनी इनटू द हैंड्स ऑफ द इन्वेस्टर्स? नो, वो तो नहीं करेंगे. डायरेक्ट टैक्स नहीं करेंगे, सो इनडायरेक्ट ही बचा आपके पास.
मे बी यू आर राइट. ओके,
तो जीएसटी में अगर 18% जो टैक्स है वो अगर 12 करते हैं, यू आर बेसिकली सेइंग दैट द कॉस्ट ऑफ consumption
in the hands of the consumer is lower. Yeah. So
and
that spreads across.
Especially the urban consumption which has been hit, or the urban spend which has been hit, can get revived or something.
Maybe. So could be interesting to watch, right? But nobody, Sajeet, nobody that I met in the last few days, or you would have met, is speaking about staples, buying. Buying staples नहीं करना है. मतलब HUL डाबर शावर वगैरह नहीं करना है. ये कंजम्पशन बूस्ट आएगा तो भी डिस्क्रेशनरी करेंगे, बिकॉज ये जो वैल्यूएशन पे हैं और जो मार्जिन इरोजन हो रहा है, वर्किंग कैपिटल साइकिल, आरओसी, मार्जिन इरोजन, व्हाटएवर, जहां पे भी हिट आ रहा है, रॉ
मटेरियल इन्फ्लेशन जो आ रहा है इसका
सब कुछ आ रहा है, राइट? एंड द फैक्ट दैट इनके पास प्राइसिंग पावर नहीं है क्योंकि रीजनल मार्केट बहुत स्ट्रांग है. सो हमें 45 पी पे ये स्टॉक्स नहीं खरीदने हैं. एक टाइम होता था जब 80 पी भी चल जाता था एफएमसीजी के लिए. आई थिंक दोज डेज आर बिहाइंड अस. So the other thing to think of this, right? Think of how you look at cycles, because अगर आप 10 साल पहले की साइकिल देखोगे और सोचोगे कि HUL तो ये पी पे ट्रेड करता था इतने सालों तक, तो अभी क्या वापस जाएगा? शायद नहीं होगा, because the cycle has changed now and people don't want to buy FMCG at 45 times valuations. For all you know, these stocks may actually come down lower. So that's the other interesting thing.
So if that's the case, many of these companies are sitting on huge cash because they are cash-rich companies, HUL and ITCs. And
dividend? Yeah, acquisition.
No, it's not. HUL has this tendency of doing unusual shareholder rewards, which is there, right? कभी-कभी वो warrant के issue में कहते हैं free warrants दे देता है या वो देता है. अभी नहीं करता, but it's a structuring thing which they do, or in form of dividend, which is their one-time dividend or special dividend. So you may get all this money of the cash coming in to you.
Could be interesting.
But I wanted to talk to you about another sector which we were supposed to talk yesterday, which is IT. You spoke to Surinder, you spoke to now BOFA also. IT, what's happening in IT? What's their view on it?
So Surendra is also at his core an IT analyst.
Yes.
Right?
हाँ.
So tracking IT for such a long time, he's not constructive. He's saying कि लोग बोल रहे हैं कि ये AI सिखाएगा कौन, so IT companies etc. and all that. That argument is right. चलो. But that is new 4, 5, 10% of the business. The hit on the existing business or the slowdown in the existing business is real. That is, and why don't people look at hello latecomer?
Latecomer.
ये पहले आप 2-3 मिनट लेट आते थे, अभी आप पूरे 15 मिनट लेट आ रहे हो, बात क्या है?
मीटिंग खेल रहे हैं.
You are
हमने अगर आप
you are 1/3 of this troika, so we miss you badly. Simple. But anyway,
हमने प्राइवेट बैंक्स के बारे में बात कर,
हमने प्राइवेट मार्केट्स के बारे में बात करी, बैंक्स के बारे में बात कर ली, एनबीएफसी के बारे में बात कर ली, सब लोग कर लिया. आप जा सकते हो.
I'll most happily go. I in fact ran out of the meeting. So
no,
I
but
requested
we are talking about IT now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then so Surendra Goyal was saying that he's given the answer that why don't you look at the hit that comes on the overall business and the fact that the stocks are not necessarily cheap. They are not expensive, but they're not cheap. Especially the second rung stocks, right? वो तो cheap है ही नहीं. And the fact that this he didn't say, but I'm just thinking out loud, right? That let's assume the larger boys have this pie of business which they are used to doing at 20, 21, 22% margin. Let's say between 18 and 25%. The mid-sized boys are happy doing it at
14 to 18.
And they are constantly chipping at this. So therefore, will these companies, in order to maintain their growth, hit the margins of these companies? Part one. And therefore, even if these companies have revenue growth, will their margins be lower? Because they might have to accommodate at those margins, right? Yes. You can't help it. Because now the other guys have a seat at the table. पहले वो 10,000 crore की company थी, they didn't have a seat. अभी वो 50,000 crore की company, they have a seat at the table. So that is one. And two, the other interesting thing that somebody was saying, I don't know whether Surendra or somebody else was saying, that and it's something that we should try and figure out, that the market, and we should now take questions also, but just one last point here, the market share of Indian IT on the global stage for the last now 2-3 years has been stagnant at 33-34%. पहले हर साल 1% ग्रो होता था, अभी stagnant हो गया है. So Indian IT companies are not gaining market share. And he said that if you look
and the pie is also not growing at a very steep rate as well.
In that point also a stagnant market share, and the valuations of some of the other global majors, Accenture not gone anywhere. There was somebody talking about an Argentinian company which is very similar to Indian mid-sized companies. That price has come down from some $300 to $100 or something like that. So not bullish on IT, not bullish on tech.
By the way, एक सवाल है, RCB जीत गया.
A Sala Cup, something like that, right? A Sala Cup Namde. Yeah, man. And I saw the match yesterday.
You did?
I did.
I saw it for 15 minutes while they were raising the trophy. I saw that.
अच्छा, आपने मैच नहीं देखा? अच्छा, आपने मैच के बाद की चीज़ देखी?
मैंने फर्स्ट हाफ देखा, सेकंड हाफ में सो गया मैं.
I watched it thanks to HDFC Financial. मेरे को ग्राफिक्स बनाना था, तो मुझे 1-1.5 घंटा तो ग्राफिक्स बनाने में लगा मुझे.
HDFC Financial की बात कर ली है already.
हाँ, but thanks to that, I was.
It was interesting. I mean, the fact that Shreyas Iyer got out, and then the others were not able to. Very
late dismissal.
Yeah, unfortunate for him because he couldn't fire in the most crucial match. And then Marcus Stoinis got out after hitting that first 6. I think those two were the pivotal moments. अगर आप ये देखने जाओ तो they lost by only 6-7 runs.
1-6 basically.
But it almost seemed a given when you needed 29 runs in 5 balls. बाद में तो I think RCB also said कि हाँ चल मार 6 कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. We know we have won.
Yeah, then it was just about bowling right. You know, it's not about without taking a risk. भाई 6 बॉल खत्म करो.
ऐसा मत बोलो. पंजाब किंग्स 11 पंजाब और MI का मैच, उसमें भी ऐसे ही रन रेट चल रहा था until Shreyas Iyer came and just blasted everything out.
Yeah. No, but Shreyas was the tipping point.
Yeah.
And who would have thought that a West Indian who has dropped a catch, not scored anything in the game, has had a pathetic game, comes in, takes Shreyas Iyer's wicket.
Yeah.
You know, it was a dramatic turnaround. Also.
Yeah, Shreyas Iyer wicket. The fact that somebody who's played very well throughout the tournament, Nehal Vadera didn't fire and Stoinis got out.
Yeah.
I think things didn't work for them and things regularly work for RCB. Any chase, but
And Prabh Simran also
But
wasn't really scoring. Uska jo strike rate tha wasn't
whatever
great.
it is,
So.
it took them 18 years to get the first title, which is incredible. And I think for Virat Kohli, I'm happy that, you know, he has been loyal to RCB since the first season.
वो तो उसका call है.
I mean, in a sense, you know, imagine you've been waiting 18 years and then...
And you are one of the key players. It's not like you are filling the lines.
Isn't what really stands out also the fact that they have regularly tried to come back, win, lose, accept that loss, go back. For 18 years, that is so hard to do.
Patience is
so hard to do. Anyway.
Something for the investors to learn. Patience.
नहीं भाई, I hope ऐसा ना हो. मुझे 18 years रुकना नहीं है, मेरी investment रंग दिखा है उसके लिए. Then it becomes a multi-bagger, there is no point.
So, let's take questions first. Krishna saying, what's your take on fashion and retail actually? Price dropping today since most of the profitable businesses are demerged into AB lifestyle brands.
No, but that's not
आज
why
तो
it's
block
down.
के लिए.
आज block के वजह से.
आज block की वजह से गिरा है.
आज तो block है.
block की वजह से
There's
गिरा
a
है.
2% block. TPG, I think. TPG, I
TPG.
think 2%
Yeah.
TPG has sold out.
Yes.
You said it's a clean-up trade.
Clean-up.
So
No, not ABFRL.
Not
ABFRL.
No, I said
thought
it is
you
a
told-
clean-up trade for Indegene and Tata Tech.
No, so then sorry, ABFRL is Flipkart selling out.
selling.
So
Sorry,
that's a clean out trade on Flipkart.
Flipkart.
Sorry, my bad. So ABFRL is Flipkart, it's not TPG.
Yes.
Sorry. So and that's why the stock is down. 6% is what Flipkart owned of ABFRL.
Prajal is asking our views on tire industry. Rubber prices are down, but autos is on a slow wicket. So
Yeah, but cycle is slightly turning, right? On the margin front for them.
margin
If
is
I'm not wrong.
Margin, yes,
Q4.
but volume growth नहीं हो रहा है because of auto slowdown. Except you know renewal
Replacement. Replacement ठीक ठाक है.
ठीक ठाक है.
I don't know. ये BKT का confidence बहुत था on launching the business.
Yeah, PV and CV they're launching, right?
Radials, right?
Yeah.
That will also add to competition.
Yeah,
That's the other
It
angle.
will. The only thing is, unlike Grasim coming into paints and having such a large balance sheet, BKT coming into this is not as disruptive.
100%. And they will not do disruptive pricing. They will not do those kind of
They
things.
can't,
Just, yeah.
because they are up against the behemoths.
Correct.
They're not necessarily the
So there's
behemoths.
an interesting question coming from Shrikar Reddy. Why is our GST collections increasing despite slowdown in demand? Usually GST collection should align with sales growth.
आप बताओ.
My view is volumes are not growing, but price value is growing, and that's why the total value is going up, and GST is calculated on the value. So if you look at the sales also this time, the volume growth is very minimal. It's the price which is there, and as a result of the revenue which has grown up marginally higher, which is the reason why it's happening. And if you look at some of the trends which are coming in, it's premium, especially consumption में premium premium products are coming in smaller SKUs, and so the consumption is there in the smaller SKUs for them, but the base level or mass level में उतना volume growth नहीं हो रहा है और price action भी उतना नहीं हो रहा है. So the reason why GST is going up is because of the revenues growing up, but GST collection भी उतना significant नहीं है. Ajit Emmanuel, is there a problem of domestic and retail not selling enough, making it tough for FIs to buy in large quantities? What do you say?
No, if FIs want to come, they'll get this thing, but
There's
it'll happen
enough
at a particular
supply.
price. Yeah,
The domestic guys are very savvy today. They want a higher price for their holding.
Look at the quantum of promoter selling that has happened in the last 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Look at the quantum of PVC exits that are happening. Yesterday there were quite a few as well. Ola, Hyundai sold its stake, Kia sold its stake in Ola yesterday. Ola was under pressure on the back of that. Today, look at the number of stake sales that are happening. Nearly 4 to 5,000 crore if I were to just do some rough math. So, plenty of supply coming in as markets have held steady. So I don't think it's a supply.
Yeah, but interestingly, if I'm looking at the FIDI numbers and I'm looking at the stock delivery numbers, which is the value of stock delivery, the DIs are buying more, right? Means as compared to the FIs. So there is a sense of enough flows, retail flows going into mutual funds and insurance companies, and as a result of that money getting coming into the market for that fresh paper which is coming in, which is held by the FI. It's not the secondary paper in that sense. It is basically an investor holding the shares for a longer period of time, then offloading it. So the new paper coming into the market is what the DIs are going and buying actually. So secondary market में transaction में उतना volume नहीं दिख रहा मुझे institutional trading का.
Yeah. नहीं plus I mean just one small comment out here is that the DI बेचेगा कैसे? I mean अगर $4-5 billion हर महीने आ रहा है, it's not possible for the mutual fund to sell, no? What does he sell? He believes in those stocks. That's why they are in the portfolio and there is more money coming in. How can the DI go
every month you are getting 30,000, 35,000 crores.
5 billion कैसे बेचो आप? नहीं बेच सकते. Difficult है.
Sorry, I am getting shouted at. Krishna Singh, there's an appreciation post, and that's why I'm getting shouted at. So
by who?
By Mridul.
Okay.
You also are getting shouted. Okay. Wanted to compliment you on the discussions you do. Very helpful and knowledgeable to the retail community, especially. Is what Krishna is saying. Thank you, Krishna.
Thank
this
you,
is
Krishna.
why we do it.
Much appreciate.
And Ganesh B, as always, waiting for your show and the discussions that follow. So that's those are two
Thank you.
compliments that have come.
Vaishali
like karo.
Vaishali is asking a question between Lemon Tree, Indian Hotels and Sami. Which one do you think has a higher growth potential? It's a tough question. दोनों अलग-अलग models में हैं.
Three very different models, if you will.
Yeah, so that's the follow-up question. Are all of them switching to asset-light models? No.
Which is
That's
yes.
the answer.
No. Asset-light.
Sir,
Indian hotels है.
Indian hotels का है.
Indian
hotels
and
का है.
ITC hotels.
ITC
By the way,
hotel.
we did a KYC on ITC hotels, so I want to sell that to you. Very interesting is what I found it, but it'll come out only at 7 p.m. today. It'll also play out at around 4:30.
But it's already out, right? 12:30 you did
It's
it,
out,
right?
yeah.
Sorry,
So
11:30 you did it. So,
But I want to do a plug as well.
हाँ.
By the way. So no, पहले KYC का plug खत्म करेंगे. पहले KYC खत्म करेंगे.
अमीश का plug ना?
नहीं अमीश का plug नहीं. मैं plug ये कर रहा हूँ कि we are doing a very interesting management conversation today at 2:10. We will not tell the name of the company. But it's a brilliant conversation.
कौन से सेक्टर है?
नहीं कुछ
Sector तो बताओ.
नहीं कुछ नहीं. आप सिर्फ आ जाओ और सुनो जो हमने कॉल ट्रांसक्रिप्ट पढ़ी है वो बहुत अच्छी है. Now we are going to quiz the management on that call transcript and the confidence that they are portraying.
Yes.
आप आ जाओ और देखो 2:10 on NDTV Profit.
देखो कि कॉल ट्रांसक्रिप्ट पढ़ने के बाद क्या सवाल पूछने चाहिए. Not only to the management but also to yourself कि भाई ये is it
हम कोशिश करेंगे they will do a good interview.
Yeah.
So you be the judge of that. But please join in today at 2:10 on NDTV Profit. Shameless plug.
Yes. There's a question from Venkat.
और KYC 7 बजे देखो वापस.
Venkat, a difference between Gift Nifty and Implied Open.
यार ये but what is the
difference between Gift Nifty and Implied Open that every channel is putting out, right? In that sense.
समझाओ एक मतलब what do you call एक शिक्षा.
हाँ, learning session.
Bulls Bear Banter शिक्षा का एक session.
So let me try and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Gift Nifty is traded in IFSC, Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, whatever, which is there. It's an international exchange which is there. It's like a Nifty which is getting traded. It's a futures, Nifty futures which is getting traded. So what you normally see Gift Nifty is how the future is going up, कितना change है, कितना percentage change है. That is the one. What we look in Implied Open is a difference between Gift Nifty and the Nifty futures in the Indian domestic market which is in NSE. उसका differential के basis पे हम we get an idea of where the market is going to open at 9 o'clock. That's what it reflects. That's why we say it's an implied open. It's not an exact science. In that sense, it just gives you a direction in which the market is there. So अगर आप देखोगे कि अगर अरे गिफ्ट निफ्टी 100 पॉइंट्स ऊपर है, जरूरी नहीं है निफ्टी 100 पॉइंट्स ऊपर हो. आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि भाई निफ्टी फ्यूचर और निफ्टी कैश मार्केट के बीच में भी डिफरेंशियल कितना है, बेसिस पॉइंट्स कितना है, एंड उसके बेसिस पे आपको देखना पड़ेगा. सो व्हाट It basically means it's an indicative open in the morning, and it's a reference point. How do you do it?
Nothing more to add.
Transrail.
Sir, so Sanchit Goyal, and I want to pick this. Sorry, I took it from you.
Karo.
Transrail lighting analysis. Now, yesterday he said his stock was up 13%. Now he's saying his stock is up 20%. Sanchit, we've already done the analysis. We've done a full interview with Transrail Lighting. It's a very interesting company. We did the analysis
drop the
yesterday
interview here so that he can have a look.
Please. Now we're going to...
we will charge you.
But every time they drop the interview, one of us will not come for the show.
No, we will charge you. We'll charge you. अरे वो उससे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, बोलेगा 2 लोग तो है, बोलेगा नहीं, हम तुमको चार्ज करेंगे.
So Sanchit, that's the long and short of it. He's given great guidance, so look at it. The stock was up yesterday because of an order win, so that's just perspective.
So Sujit has a question on Aditya Birla Fashion. He's saying Flipkart sold 10%. The correction is because of that. Yes, 10%
very much.
Is a big block to sell for Aditya Birla.
6% sell kiya sir.
6% क्या?
Owned 6%, sold 6%.
Okay.
That was on the block.
Okay. So 10% का correction.
10% correction.
Yes. So yeah, it's a big block anyway, and it's going for a demerger. Demerger तो X हो गया ना?
हो गया.
MP Jain is saying, and we were talking about in the beginning, RBI may surprise with a rate cut of 0.35%.
But overall,
ना तेरा ना मेरा.
I mean, no. So, Mr. Jain, okay, could happen. I'm not. Okay, sorry. I'm not trying to say that whatever. But I'm just saying whether it's 0.25 or 0.5 per se. If 0.25, 0.5, 0.25, 0.35 में मुझे नहीं लगता बहुत ज़्यादा difference है. Maybe then the commentary, Mr. Jain, becomes very important. But thank you for this thing. I will note out for it. Maybe when we are talking about it, we'll ask the experts about this and what does it imply. But मेरे हिसाब से कुछ ज़्यादा implication नहीं है.
Anju has a question on Arvind Smart Spaces, the real estate arm of Arvind Group.
Sorry, I haven't looked at it at all.
We'll have to look and come back to you, Anju, on that.
Sorry, Anju, yeah, I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, but sorry, follow-up question. Is it a better bet, is real estate or proxy companies like cables and wires, etc.? What's the better
Building
bet?
material you're talking about.
Yeah, I would suspect, my suspicion is, so always proxies are a great bet, but I would suspect that if we are all betting upon a rate cut trajectory, then rate sensitives should be considered. You know, पहले बहुत होता था, it was a no-brainer bet कि अगर rate hikes हो रही है तो ये stocks नीचे जाते हैं. बीच में ये थोड़ा correlation हिल गया था शायद in the minds of people. I think for the rest of the year, if we are penciling in 2 or 3 rate cuts till the end of the calendar year, then rate sensitives, NBFCs, banks, etc., or real estate, maybe even autos are firmly in the picture.
Can I ask you a question? In a couple of days back, we had this Anurag report which came out.
Luxury premium
inventory going up.
हाँ.
Why is that happening?
देखिए मुंबई MMR में हुआ है.
हाँ.
Not all over India because अगर
because already 50 basis point घट गया है rate.
हाँ, but नहीं, अगर आप ये भी देखो और ये जो recent जो macro data आया, right? उसमें आया था कि the disbursements for premium real estate have gone up. So वो हो रहा है. MMR may have hit क्योंकि शायद MMR में supply ज़्यादा हो गया हो. But that doesn't mean...
There's a linkage which someone was making, and I don't know how it gets. It's saying that, you know, because the markets are muted, the sales of luxury is also not happening that much.
हाँ, वो भी है. Actually, this is a simple barometer. Equity market जब muted gains देता है, तो suddenly inquiries drop down. मैं भी पढ़ा था. My broker was telling me कि inquiries have just stopped completely.
People feel less rich, even implied so. Not actually becoming poor, but they feel less rich and therefore they don't.
Okay, it's all about the fun. You hear from everyone saying there should not be more than 10 to 15 stocks in your portfolio. But we have seen RJ Damani making huge wealth on concentrated trades on 4 to 5 stocks.
Yeah. So one, I don't agree with this personally because I think it's not a phenomenon which is spread throughout the year, throughout the life cycle. And I'll tell you why very quickly. There are times when if the market is constantly being hit by accidents across the world, global, local, वगैरह, you actually don't want a concentrated portfolio because if you have a stock or a set of stocks which are getting impacted by that accident, geopolitics, this, that, what have you, your portfolio would actually take a very sharp nosedive. You instead want a very diversified portfolio so that अगर accident होता भी है, that accident is limited to 2, 3, 4% of your portfolio. Concentrated portfolios work very well in a trending market which is not getting hit with accidents. The last 2-3 years have been full of accidents. You want to be careful about having a concentrated portfolio in the current times because it could be very, very hazardous. And by the way, just one more thing. When you hear of these guys making very large gains because of concentrated, RK Damani ji की बात भूल जाइए, वो अलग breed है, मतलब there is probably nobody like him.
And he can absorb the fall as well.
All of that too.
Yeah.
But for most of the people, you hear the 6, 7, 8 stocks that they have in which they have made a lot of money. They have a lot of other smaller positions, and now all of them have a very large private book as well. So now, please remember, their investments are actually fairly diversified. They are not concentrated.
And we only get to know only 10% of that investment.
Exactly.
मार्केट में सर अगर आपका 0.5% से ज़्यादा आप ब्लॉक डील में लेते हो तो आपको पता चलता है, 1% से ज़्यादा आपके पास है तो शायद शेयर होल्डिंग में आ जाता है. उसके ऊपर उसके नीचे अगर है किसी के पास तो आपको पता भी नहीं चलता है.
हाँ, but and again you can make the argument, but उनका percentage holdings 3-4 में it's like 60-70% हो, मैं मानता हूँ. They are on top of that game. They can absorb those losses. Ideally, if your portfolios are getting hit, and everybody's portfolio is getting hit with accidents, right? Last 6 months, hardly anybody's made money. Even the big guys haven't made money. You want to be careful. You want to have a diversified portfolio so the shock absorbing is much easier. Imagine if you're concentrated in defense. Sorry, one last point. Imagine, ये 2 महीना छोड़ दो. But अगर if your portfolio is concentrated in defense, start 2024 till March 2024, your portfolio would have been really rogered if it was concentrated in defense.
March 25 तक.
March 25 तक, sorry. sorry.
Yeah. So for
June, July was a peak for them.
Yeah. वही बोल रहा हूँ. मतलब exact date नहीं पता है, but मोटा मोटी. हाँ.
It's also about the absorption capacity of individuals. Some of these guys have been doing it for donkeys years, so they know that there will be a cycle, that this particular sector will come out of the cycle, so they are willing to be patient with it. It's also the quantum of capital they deploy. When you are playing with sub 1 crore and you're playing with say 10,000 crore, the difference is so large that sometimes it becomes difficult to pull out money and redeploy elsewhere. That also becomes a challenge.
And the amount of money they are deploying, they have a skin in the game.
Yes.
And many, like we have seen Rakesh Jhunjhunwala participating in con calls of companies and asking them pinpointed questions.
Yes.
So you need to have that skin in the game in understanding and when the company is announcing stuff. Okay.
Don't we have to wrap?
Yes, we have a feedback for you. There was no trade setup from you today, so they're missing you.
It was quite empty.
It was quite empty.
Anupam Ahuja is saying.
Thank you, Anupam. Yeah, much appreciated you tuning in for that. But I had to go for the Bank of America conference today, so which is why. Tomorrow, back to basics.
Chalo, so that's the thing. Yes, we should.
Ashish Malik, shout out to you guys. I love hearing from you. I always tune in while having lunch. So
thank you.
Enjoy your lunch. I hope you finished your lunch now. We'll go for lunch.
We should go for lunch.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care, Hersh, with your meetings. Sorry, I'm saying take care with your meetings.